My name is Lizzie Shaw. I'm a junior majoring in political communication. I've been involved in a lot of different areas of campus, but I am running for student body president on the Evolve ticket this year.
Hey everybody, my name is Nick St. Mary. I'm a junior from Lake Charles, Louisiana, majoring in psychology, and I'm running for vice president on the Evolve ticket.
So, some of the initiatives that we want to implement, we have a really, really well researched policy team. I'm so passionate about all of the things on the sheet. We wouldn't have had it on there if it wasn't something that we were passionate about implementing. But the one that I think is my favorite, it's also the one that's most personal to me, would be the Mental Health Bill of Rights. I've tried to navigate the mental health system at LSU, and it causes a lot of road bumps. The resources available to students aren't always clear, and they're not always sure what their rights are when it comes to advocating to professors and in the classroom when it comes to their mental health issues. So we want to create a one-stop guide for students to know exactly what resources are available to them and when, as well as how to access them, but also how to advocate for themselves to professors when they are having mental health issues.
For me, one of my favorites is a little bit different, but it's something that many other SEC schools do, but it's the business attire rental. Just from running this campaign alone, I've seen how much a suit can run you up. This one was quite a hefty fortune for myself, but just having access to business attire rental is something that a lot of people take for granted on this campus, but giving students that access for their interviews, their professional development is something that's so key. So we've talked to the Career Center about partnering with them to be able to have a system where they can get lent that for their interviews, rent it out, and then return it. So that way other students have access to that.
I believe that LSU, first and foremost, I have to acknowledge the elephant in the room with this question. I am the only female student running for student body president, and that's because I thought that LSU needed a woman in leadership at this point. It's been 15 years since the last female student body president at LSU's campus, and at the same time, the last 15 years since a woman from Baton Rouge's campus sat on the board of supervisors. I think that LSU is ready because the majority of our campus is women, and with women issues like Title IX and sexual assault safety on campus being big issues for the past few years, I think it's time that a woman sits in that position of leadership. But additionally, I think that LSU needs strong, dedicated leaders. Nick and I are not going into Louisiana politics after this, and we are ready to be the firm advocates for the students to administration. We are of the student body. We've seen the student issues. We've been the students with issues, and all we want to do is give back to the student body and give back to the school that did so much for us, and that's serving the students in an accountable way.
Obviously, safety, Title IX, all of those things are extremely important issues that are going on campus, which is why it's so paramount to have someone who has that experience as a woman to understand where these women are coming from and directly advocate for what they have going on. Other than that, there's also, as far as student organizations go with funding, that's something that's been a key pillar for us when we talk to other minority student organizations, just not having the funding to do their events, and student government has the funds to help them put it on. So finding ways to help them finance their own events in a way that is equitable to the other organizations on campus.
One of the reasons that we think our ticket really stands apart and we deserve your vote is our level of dedication and sacrifice for this. Nick and I have spent an entire year working on policy, talking to students, building an amazing team, building this inspiring ticket that we have now. I couldn't do it without everybody that was with me, and especially not without Nick. But the reason that we deserve these votes is we've taken steps back from every other organization that gave us roots at LSU. We've all been heavily involved. I was vice president of my sorority. I served as an associate chair in LSU Ambassadors. I previously served in other organizations on campus. And we've taken a step back from all of those. I've not sought out leadership in any of those organizations for the upcoming year, just so even if we're given the opportunity to be elected into these positions, we could dedicate our entire years to this.
I think that we should get your vote because we want to represent you. We don't want to make you feel unseen or unheard. We want you to be able to come to us with any problems that you face and that we can work to give it a solution. I think we both respectively are very fitting for each of the roles that we're running for, and I am so confident in being a vice president to Miss Lizzie Shaw over here that I think we have such an amazing dynamic, and I believe that all the work that we have put in beforehand to give us the opportunity to have this position, that once we are elected, we can seamlessly transition into our administration to get these things accomplished.
And I think that Nick and I have spent our times in student government not only absorbing the past administrations and their choices, but also learning from them. One thing that we want to do is we want to change the structure of the executive branch just a little bit, just to make communication flow more directly. This is something I've had experience with in other leadership positions, especially with large groups. And we want to make sure that people know exactly what resources they can go to get jobs done and increase collaboration across the branch. That's one thing that we've really learned from our experience working in the branch right now. But another thing we want to do as far as policy and policy tracking is we want to publish an initiative tracker. This was a previous initiative that used to be done and updated regularly, but it's kind of fallen off in recent years. So that's something we want to differentiate from previous administrations, is make sure that we are accessible to the students and transparent in what exactly each department is working on, in addition to our student senate.
For me, as vice president, one of the key roles is to serve as the head of college council, which is often the forgotten about part about student government. So we really would like to utilize that. That's something that we've seen in other administrations, and it turns into more of putting on events where you can pass out food. And while that's great, college council is the direct line of communication with the academic colleges and their deans. So I believe there's so much potential there to help out with academics, to partner with new organizations to put on professionalism events, or to even use the connections that you have there to implement policies to affect academics on campus. So that's something that we really would like to differentiate from past administration.
Absolutely. I have previously served as the assistant director of outreach and now the director of outreach. So that's something I've been really, really passionate about. I've actually reached out to the graduate schools like law and vet, as well as all the graduate current sitting senators and members of student government, to be like, hey, how can I better outreach to y'all? And I actually got great feedback about avenues that we could take. We've really tried to raise the social media outreach, but we want to make student government more accessible and transparent to students, and that starts by how we are putting the image out there and advertising what student government is. One thing that we really want to do is start reaching out to more student organizations, especially during those first few weeks, just to make sure that we can help them with any outreach efforts, especially when it comes to engaging students that aren't currently involved, like those out-of-state freshmen that just don't know the resources available to them. We want to make sure that we're reaching those students and giving them a place on campus depending on their interest, depending on their major. We want to make sure that we're actively doing the outreach work that takes to get them either involved into student government or into an organization that's best fit for them, because the involvement in those organizations is what increases the retention of out-of-state students. I mean, in my experience, it's why I'm here and I love LSU.
Definitely, I think when we're talking about meeting people where they are, social media is something that we cannot escape. Most people are on social media. That's probably, we've interacted with just as many people like on social media than we probably have so far in these first 2 days of active campaign week.
If you had to listen to one sentence to describe what our campaign is, it would be that second statement of our mission statement, that we want to be a propelling voice of the student body, not just for the student body.
Just know that you have a dedicated duo that cares and is willing to put in the work to serve you as best we can, and we would love to have your support.